on your feet, you're not practicing ground skills, although you could, because although you could roll, you could do visual, you could do shadow boxing throws if you like. Think that really you're either against a comparable fighter, a striker, or you're against a grappler who you don't want to grapple, you don't want to mix it with. You're splitting your feet, you're looking for shots, you're switching back, he's going for that right, you're taking it out. Does it make sense? Then when we go to the other drills, then we can start specifically train against a grappler, or to grapple ourselves. Make sense? Yeah. To be the grappler, whichever your predisposition to fighting is, wherever your natural leaning is. Although I'm a striker, whenever I fight, I'm natural. And it's not because somebody said 99% of fights go down the ground. Since I was a little boy, I've always gone down on the ground. And sitting in the mat is not something new from the Gracies, or you're doing that in the schoolyard. Yeah. Do you understand? It's not something new, and the guard isn't something new. It's just an illegal move in judo. And in fact, if you look at all the illegal moves in wrestling, if you're breaking thumbs, if you're doing that, if you're boxing, whatever it might be, back fist, all the illegal moves at some point worked. And they took away from the fight. Do you understand the sporting contest of the fight? So what I used to do whenever I got a boxing book, a wrestling book, or a judo book, I looked to see what were the illegal moves. What was illegal, and I was trying to find out what you can't do. Because that's usually how you're going to win. Using the jacket, using the pant legs of either yourself or the guy to hold it. And that's all. If you like, jiu-jitsu is without those restrictions and rules, and that's why it works better than judo. The same way as if a street fighter, fought a boxer, and in his environment, he'd probably win as well. Makes sense? Okay, one more round. So elbows, that's it. Work out some of that footwork. That's very important. That's it. Don't move the head too much back. Don't move the head so if you move the head, and you can't see what you're trying to hit. Does it make sense? Okay. The only reason you move, the only reason you don't move the head like this. The only reason I've moved my head before and notice I haven't done this. I've hit you before you can hit. I've already moved the head. I haven't hit you, and then there's a punch, and then does it make sense? If I move you to shoot, and I know there's a hook, I've already moved the head before. I don't go look. Wait for the shot. I've done that. I'm simply slipping the shot before I do it. The impression is, if you were watching it in boxing or at some other sport, the impression is that he's seen the shot. He's anticipated the shot, and that's why. And he will see the first cue of the shot, or he'll see the situation which will lead to the shot. In other words, if I hold this hand, you can bloody well be rest assured that this one's going to come. Yeah. I don't have to wait and say this one's going to come before I do something about it. And that would be the simplest thing. And any cue drill that doesn't take that into consideration, that it's teaching you to anticipate the next thing that comes. But your head mustn't be moved erratically, otherwise you could both cut it. It doesn't matter if you cut him, but it does matter if you cut yourself. And you could bump in the table. True. So and you don't want your head loose on your shoulders when you move it. So you're not moving your head, you're moving your body with your head attached to it, and not moving your head. So if you snap back the head like this, you're going to get it taken off because it's disconnected. It's so easy to take off the shoulders now. It's so easy to make a knockout. That's why you see the old fighter would always have their chin well down and in. Not unnaturally, but just so that if you're fighting, look. And again, if you're looking for uniformity in movement, then the tendency is that somebody's going to tell you, I want you to look regimental. Can you imagine soldiers walking around like this? It just wouldn't appeal, would it, to somebody in the military? He spent thousands of pounds on designing a bloody uniform. Yeah, and now everybody's kind of got his shoulder, yeah? But the truth is that's really much safer to be than that. And you would only take a few blows in the head to suddenly realise, Christ, wait, you don't need to be a Muay Thai specialist to learn to fight with your head cocked off to one side, because you know that having it behind that shoulder is much safer than having it stuck out of your tank. You know, if you're going to stick your head out of the tank, don't stick it out full. Just get your bloody eyes up, you know? Have a look around, don't go and stick your whole thing out. So you need to get this idea that it's how do I punch from a covered position, not how do I punch from an open one. How do I shoot from in my tank? So how am I doing everything I'm doing while I'm protected? Not how am I doing this when I'm unprotected? Unless you had superior skill and superior range. You know, you're much taller than he is. He's never going to reach you, you know. Do you understand? If you were watching Clay fight, you'd have the superiority, wouldn't you, against many of these fighters. Does it make sense? And his footwork and his timing would put him at such a distance in his arm reach, he could pick him off. He didn't have, his skill was evasion, his skill was anticipation, and being out of the range before the guy could get there. Okay, let's go into the bag and just work specifically on the different shots. So your first one, I just want to work on that, just the left hand. So just working the left hand in, working the left hand around, and looking at some of those ways you can work that straight left. So we can pop it in, we can step it in, we can step it around. Remember? Or we can skip it in. So in other words, if I need run, I can simply skip it, step it, step up and hit it, or off this leg, going or go around. Makes sense? And try to get that idea that when you make it again, that you're looking to say again, what am I breaking? What am I hitting? Is this shot coming across? Is it doing an eye? Is it doing a nose? Is it doing a jaw? Is it doing a throat? Or is it on this side and then suddenly it's coming around that corner? And am I launching enough body weight to actually break, knocking back, break the jaw, yeah, break the nose, cut the eye?